Okay, let's see who we're doing next. This is going to be June, now that it is June, so we don't have any ties. Aries. I don't think we've done Aries just yet. So, Aries, it's your turn. You can see that we are doing a different camera view so that you can kind of understand a little bit better how it looks from a reader's perspective. We'll start with the magnetic poetry for you. We're doing a past, present, future reading, as we do with the first 7 signs, 6 of which were done during May. You can check the description box for everything that you need to know, including where to run a natal chart to find out what your rising and moon sign are. It is free, and it's the most comprehensive site that I have ever used. So, and I've been using it for years and years, like over 20 years. All right, let's see what we have for you, Aries. Just going to put these in list order, so grab a pen and a piece of paper so that you can write these down and unscramble them for yourself and make out any words, sentences from the words, rather. Okay. All right, Aries. Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus. We are going to use Revelations Tarot for you. Again, it's going to be past, present, future spread. 3 rows of 6 cards each. We only pick flippers and jumpers. We don't draw cards. Just makes it a lot more meant to be, if you will. Oh, that was nice. 3 cups in the reverse, gossip. There's gossip. 2 cups in the upright, and then 3 cups in the reverse. Seems like there might be 2 people getting together, meeting together to have a chit chat. But also, you know, could just be going out for lunch with somebody or going out for dinner or drinks. Seems to be some gossip about that. Watch out for it. Okay. One more. And twist for fairness. I'm trying to do this so that you can see, otherwise it'd be a lot more smooth. All right. Aries, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus. I'm always excited to do the Aries read because I'm an Aries rising. In the past for you. Aries, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus. The other awesome thing about doing it this way is you can zoom in and you can see the spread. You can see how the cards are interacting with each other as I'm reading them. Or how I'm reading them and why I'm reading them that way. Instead of me constantly having to hold the cards up. Also makes it so that I don't have to worry about having makeup on, because, you know, usually on the weekend if I'm not heading into the office, I like to not wear makeup now, because it's just easier on your face, right? almost dropped them. Really hope we're recording. Oh, are we recording? Thank God we're recording. Okay. All right. 5 of Swords in the upright. Recent past, 5 of Swords in the upright. Self-deception. It's a bit of a feeling as if somebody is lying to themselves about something in some regard. We'll find out more about why or what it is. Guess this is going to be what it is. The Queen of Pentacles in the reverse. They're lying to themselves about their determination, their passion, their drive, their motivation professionally, or about how they relate to the refinement within their home space. The sense of luxury, their relationship with status and reputation even. About what sets their soul on fire as far as their career goes. Capricorn energy on this card. Could also be self-deception about if one can live happily in the home space. Because the Queen of Pentacles is somebody who is refined, elegant, likes to have luxury within the home space, and is determined, ambitious, and passionate about their career. In the reverse, just consider that the opposite of those things, right? With this being a card of self-deception or denial, there's denial about that. There's denial about not being those things or not living into those things as much as one would want. Tell me more. Aries. Okay. Got 2. Okay, Justice in the reverse. Feeling of not being done right in some regard. Leo, or sorry, not Leo. What, I don't know why I'm saying Leo, but Libra in the reverse. The 4 of Swords in the reverse. Not there is a lack of balance and equilibrium here also, because somebody hasn't taken the time to heal. And not having taken the time to meditate and rest and recover from something where there was fairness not brought about for them. Not feeling connected with the home space, or not happy in the home space, so therefore not being able to recover and meditate and heal in a certain regard from an injustice. Dishonesty, that kind of thing. But there's a self-deception here. Is a self-deception about these things? Is somebody fooling themselves into thinking they can't do these things? Or is it that somebody is deceiving themselves and therefore these are the results of that self-deception, right? What else? Aries. In the past, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus. Is this 3? It is. The Sun in the reverse, Leo, like I was saying before, the Sun in the reverse is a no card, whereas the Sun in the upright would be a yes card. Normally happiness also, but then if it's in the reverse, it would be dissatisfaction, followed by the 7 of Swords in the reverse. So there's transparency here. There's transparency here about how somebody's not happy. They're being honest about how they're not happy about something. Again, here we have this lack of balance, fairness, and equilibrium that we see in the Justice card coming about here as well. So he's being very transparent and forthright and honest about the fact that they're not happy because something is off kilter. That maybe there might be one person giving more, and in a relationship of sorts, could be just time, effort, energy. Not necessarily coin like it shows there. But there is that feeling, right? And because of that, wishes aren't coming true. Warmth is, there's a coldness and aloofness that's happening. You know? In the present, we have the Chariot in the reverse with the Death card. Scorpio energy in the Death card, but then also we have Cancerian energy in the Chariot. So there's been some stagnancy that's been happening in the present as a result of some self-deception in the past. It's kind of an obvious thing. If you're not exercising ambition, that you're going to have an issue with moving forward. There's going to be a standstill. The energy is kind of in a position of being kind of locked up, you know? The energy is locked up and somebody cannot move forward. Stagnancy and standstill and frustration, as opposed to movement forward and free-flowing energy. Normally we would also consider the Chariot to be a card of relocation, like address, but somebody can't do that. And potentially it could be because we have the Five of Swords, which is a card of self-deception. Above this, that it could be that somebody's fooling themselves into believing that they are at a standstill, or fooling themselves into believing that they cannot relocate, change address, that sort of thing. Because after it, we have the Death card, which is about endings, and therefore beginnings, transformation, you know? If somebody needs to put an end to things, potentially put an end to a lack of balance in some regard. Could be looking towards Scorpio season for that to happen. Also in the present, there's some heartbreak that's happening here for an Aries individual, some pain or something that's quite upsetting and hurtful. This ending in and of itself could be hurtful for somebody, an Aries. The transition from one state to the next is painful and heartbreaking. We consider the Three of Swords to be about heartbreak consistently. You see how the sword is kind of penetrating there. With the Five of Pentacles, it could be heartbreaking because there's a feeling of exclusiveness, like exclusion rather. As if this ending is going to mean that somebody's going to be left out, and that's rather painful for them. It doesn't feel fair, and it's going to plunge them into depression, this feeling of exclusion or being left out. It's going to kind of plunge them into a state of isolation. Oh, the Four of Swords normally is about, you know, taking some time out away from things. But this is devoid of healing, right? It's kind of like, this is a Three of Swords when it's in the reverse, and there we have the Three of Swords. So somebody's kind of gone backwards. They backslid into the feeling of pain about being left out in a situation because of an ending. Something wasn't progressing. Thank you. Something wasn't progressing the way that it should. There wasn't enough forward momentum to validate the necessity for something to continue. It needed to end. Sorry. I wanted to put it this way. It wants to make it go this way. Sorry. With the Hermit we have during Virgo season, this is going to kind of be continuing into Virgo season, which we'll see in September, all the way through mid-August, all the way to, well, kind of like August 22nd, I would say, all the way to mid-September, where there's going to be an invitation for this Aries individual, you or another person, I think it's really you, to really delve within, to really isolate. It's almost as if this is saying to embrace the feeling of exclusion and put yourself into a state of exclusion so that you can, or isolation, so that you can really connect with the self to learn a deeper truth. And be transparent about that. Be transparent about it. Because there's been a lack of equilibrium here and balance. Not necessarily the fairness piece of it, but you may have been living out in the external as opposed to the internal world. And it's time to get back in touch with the internal world, to become more internally self-aware. What else? Lastly, in the present for you, Aries. Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus. What else? What else? What else is there, I hear? What else is there? The Ten of Pentacles. Yeah. Okay. One of the questions that you may be asking yourself during this time, or trying to kind of seek the answers within about, is going to be about what your legacy really is. What is your legacy really about? How can you reach that point of your life where your time, energy, and efforts are paying off? And not just on the monetary front, but where all of this investment was worth it. You know, where your time was well spent. And where you could create something that outlasts you, you know. The conversation is, at this time, the necessity to have that conversation with oneself. The time is nigh for that. Aries. Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus in the future. Ten of Swords. Yeah, there's some woefulness, some pain, heartache, and the need to really heal some pain and abandonment, loss, grief. There's a grieving period that needs to happen here, and that actually in the future you're going to need to stand still to do that and honor the grieving process about something. An ending has taken place, and you need to pay attention to that and really feel your way through it before you can transition and heal. Transition into a new phase in life. The movement forward happens when it's appropriate. But if you just continue to just keep barreling forward, you're not going to honor the loss and the feelings about the loss here and the feelings about the endings that are happening. There is an ending. And the mourning that has to succeed the ending is extremely necessary. What else in the future for Aries? Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus. Got two Libra cards up here. There's a lot that needs to happen in the realm of balance. Oh my God, we got a Ten of Cups in the reverse, and I just threw a card off camera. Somebody's watching. Bear with me. The Ten of Cups here in the reverse is about you're just feeling like the happy home life isn't happening either. This ending could be putting your home life into disarray. You know, the harmony in the family unit or in the friendships or in your romantic sector may not be there during this time because you are in a grieving space, following some endings of sort. And it's still important to remember that you do have to honor the grieving process and honor really feeling your way through loss. So unfortunately, while that's happening, perhaps some of your more closer relationships of emotional fulfillment might be suffering. There will be time for this to turn into an upright 10. But first you have to honor these feelings, these grieving feelings. Somebody is watching. Somebody is keeping an eye on the pain here. There could also be some sharp communication, some sharp-tongued communication that comes forth in the future regarding pain and loss and feeling left out or excluded in some way. An ending is a part of that in some regard. But this is the silver-tongued communication that happens. It might be rather impulsive. somebody might just kind of blurt out what they're thinking, and it might, you know, I don't know whether it's well deserved or not, but somebody's really, you know, cutting with their words. I almost hear somebody kind of being cutting with their words. At first, I was going to say that somebody is responding by saying that something is a lie, but then in my mind it kind of reeled back a little bit, as if somebody is cutting with their words because something was not true, or there was a falsehood attached to something, and they're being sharp-tongued in their communications because there is something that needs to be cleared up about how something wasn't true that caused a great deal of heartbreak. And it's going to, these words are going to kind of help you rewind back to this inner truth that you're learning about yourself, or about internal self-awareness. Because when you finally look back and you see, it's like this person saying this thing really helps you to understand the lie a little bit more, or the dishonesty a little bit more. It could even be this dishonesty up here. Okay, and we have the Lovers. You know, this isn't necessarily always a choice about another person. This can also be the choice to choose oneself. And because we have this up here, I don't necessarily think that it is a choice about the self, but it's a connection with the self that creates the climate for somebody to realize where there has been a lie, where somebody has been left out, where there has been pain, and where some cutting truths have had to occur so that this could be acknowledged, this dishonesty, either with oneself or just in general. And the realization is that there is a choice that needs to be made about an emotional connection, and whether or not one wants to choose something that's worth the energy, time, and effort, as well as if it's something that's going to lead to legacy, you know. Gemini energy here. Although, I mean, I see this more as being potentially during next Gemini season. It'll be about a year, it'll be about a year before that happens. I don't subscribe to the idea that accidents happen. So these two cards are your final cards. We do eventually have a turn of events, a fortunate turn of events. X will mark the place, and movement forward. This is also your fixed signs of Scorpio, Leo, Aquarius, and Taurus, which all are in the future at this point, because we are approaching Cancer season. It's Gemini season right now. So you're going to see that there is going to be a fortunate turn of events based on all of this internal dialogue, and where you're going to go moving forward after that. It is movement forward. With that, though, with that movement forward, there is a bit of loss that still accompanies it. If anything else, we could consider this to be a necessary loss, almost like an investment. Like you have to lose a little to gain a little kind of thing. It's not going to be triumph, but it's a turn of events, a fortunate turn of events that potentially, even though in the future it appears that you've taken a loss, that in the end it comes to make sense why that had to happen. All right, let's take a look at the Purple Love Dreams Oracle. For some symbols, signs and symbols, synchronicities that could potentially be road signs indicating where you're on the right path during June. Whoa. Yeah, somebody wants to hide that truth. But whoever's communicating stuff here isn't willing to let that happen. They won't let it go. What can Aries come to expect? Let's see 3 different sign synchronicities, symbols, whether in the dream state or in the waking world, that indicate that Aries is on the right track during June. I don't know if I want to take that one because it kind of stuck. It's about the pendulum swinging, but I'm not going to take it because that one kind of was like my bad. Okay, there's one. Okay, so we have some enticement. Let's talk about this. Guy actually could be where somebody's got a melting ice cream cone. I'm seeing it in my head. It's like a melting ice cream cone, or you know the classic when somebody goes to have the ice cream and the ice cream falls off the cone onto the ground and splat. I'm actually seeing that. What else? Tell me more. No. Tell me more. Okay, trash. Somebody taking out the garbage. Or something that, you know, was supposed to go out with the garbage that gets left behind. Or, you know, on trash day where there's sometimes stuff doesn't actually make it into the trash, so it's kind of on the side of the road or whatever. That's what we're looking at there. Could also be something that's been discarded. Okay, that was fast. Love potion. Okay. See, this is an antidote of sorts. So it could be a medicine, or an antidote, or it could be watching something where you're seeing something that's like an anti-venom in particular. Yeah. Okay, so that's what I have for you, Aries. I hope that everything works out during. Do this if it makes any sense or if it resonates with you, or come back after the reading if all of a sudden this stuff hits and makes sense. But remember, it is just for June, and we'll see you when we see you next. Thanks. Okay. Bye.